How's it going, guys? Jake here, and you've joined me in this space map, and the reason why is because I'm continuing this Galacticraft series. This is part 2, and it's going to be talking about some more advanced machinery, and the first thing I'm going to be talking about is how to make a space station. So the first thing, as I kind of went over a little bit in the last episode, is if you select the overworld, which is the only world or moon that you can go to right now, you can see that it can allow us to make a space station, needing 32 tin ingots, 24 iron, 16 aluminum ingots, and 1 advanced wafer. Now if we click again to zoom in, and then we press this create button, you'll notice that there's this small space station that then pops up. It's got a nice little graphic. And so we can now select this to launch to, so let's go ahead and press launch. After a little bit of loading, we will appear on our nice little space station. So one thing for your starting space station is you can see you don't have that much. It's just a small little platform. And now, as you'll also notice, you might think that I'm flying, but I'm not. This is how it will be like living in the space station. Even though I'm in creative mode, I'm just moving around. I'm not flying at all because it has space physics. So if I start going in one direction like this, if I don't stop myself, I'll keep moving at that same speed away from my space station. So it is very dangerous up here, and it's very easy for you to get lost. Another thing that you notice is that you got the Earth below you, so you still have a nice big Earth to look at. You also still have this parachest, which I talked about a little bit in the first episode, and it'll give you your rocket launch pad, your rocket, and your any fuel that is left over. And now, because I'm in creative mode, I'm not using any oxygen, as you can see in the top right of my screen. So you are going to need oxygen when you come up here. And this block in the center, it's just kind of a decorative block. It doesn't really do anything or add any gravity. And so I'm going to go ahead and set everything up and show you how you can make this space station a nice living space. So the first thing I'd like to talk to you guys about is energy. Now, as I mentioned a little bit before in the last episode, that there are batteries such as these, and you're really going to need these on space stations, so I'm going to talk about these solar panels. So we first have this basic solar panel, and to make this you're going to need 4 compressed steel, 2 aluminum wires, a basic wafer, and a steel pole. Now, I already talked about how to make those in the previous episode, but I did not talk about this solar panel. Now to make this, you're going to need 6 of these single solar modules and 3 aluminum wires. And to make these solar modules, you're going to need 3 glass, 3 blue solar wafers, and 3 aluminum wires to make 2 of these. And to make these wafers, I showed that all you do is put a lapis lazuli in with all of this base stuff, and you'll get 9 of these. So let's go ahead and set this basic solar panel down. Now if I come up here, you'll see that it looks like a solar panel. And if we click on this, you'll see that's filling up with energy because it's producing 43 energy a second. So I can go ahead and just place a battery and fill it up right now. As you can see, it's filling up pretty quickly. But later part during the day, especially if you're on Earth, when the sun is changing position, you'll see that it's already now at 48 because the sun is getting closer to being directly above it. And that is where this advanced solar panel comes in. And to make this, you're going to need 2 heavy aluminum wires, 4 compressed steel, 1 of those full solar panels, a steel pole, and an advanced wafer. And if we go ahead and set this down, you'll notice that not only is it at a different angle already, but it's also following where the sun is. So if we come over here, this is making 55, now 56, and this is making 134. So this will go to the maximum amount of energy that it can be made, and you can fill this up with a battery just like you can the other one. So it's just more efficient in energy production. And now also you can use these tiny squares, as I talked about in the last episode, where aluminum wires go, to connect them straight to machines, so they'll power machines just from the solar panel itself. Or you can connect it to this energy storage module, which is going to be very handy on a space station. Now to make this, you're going to need 6 compressed steel and 3 empty batteries. And now if I go ahead and set this down, you'll notice that it has 500,000 points of energy compared to this, which only holds 16,000. So this is a massive energy storage module, and it'll have its input, then we'll fill up this bar, and this green in this section right here will fill up with green the more energy it has in it. So it is just very useful for storing energy. Now you see that I've rearranged these panels a little bit. I have this advanced solar panel and this energy storage module, and that's because I'm going to be going over this sealable aluminum wire block. Now to make this, you're just going to need 2 tin wall blocks and aluminum wire. Now to make tin wall, you're going to need 4 stone and a compressed tin, and that is what your space station starts out made of, and what you're probably going to want to use making your space station, because some blocks will break once you get an oxygen seal on it, such as regular glass, and you're going to need vacuum glass, but I'll get to that in a second. Now, because aluminum wire does not take up the full space of a block, if there are any gaps in your space station because of aluminum wire, any oxygen seals will break because of that. So you're going to need this aluminum sealed wire block. So if I go ahead and set this down, just letting you know that the red is an out and the green is an in. So if I go ahead and set this down, you can see that it has aluminum wires sticking out of all directions of the block. Now this is slowly filling up this energy storage module because it's coming out of the red and going into the green. Now this will continue to fill up, and this will continue to get energy from the sun, and so this is what you're really going to use for these space stations unless your aluminum wire is already inside of an oxygen seal. Okay, now join me in my little space room right here. And because I was talking about oxygen a lot up on the roof when I was talking about energy, I'm going to go over that next. And now some of these I'm not going to use on the space station. I'm going to show you on the moon, such as this oxygen bubble distributor, just because it's more effective there. But in my inventory right now, I have a list of all the oxygen machines. We have the oxygen collector and compressor, which I showed you how to use in the last episode. Then we have this decompressor, oxygen sealer, and detector. Now this decompressor is just the opposite of the compressor. Instead of loading it in to an oxygen tank, it will unload it. So you just put your oxygen tank in here with the battery, and then it will go into this oxygen storage. So it's just very simple. Then we have this oxygen sealer, and this is what you're mainly going to be using for your space station. If we go ahead and set this down and click on it, now I have this infinite battery and infinite oxygen supply like I did in the last episode, just to make things a little bit easier, but you are going to need to continually place oxygen in this slot, and you won't just have an infinite supply. So this is filling it up with oxygen, and this is powering it. And as you can see, every couple of seconds it will check if it is sealed, and as you can see, it's checking it. Then after a little while it says it's sealed, and the reason why it's sealed is because every single way out of here is sealed. All this is glass, and also this is over here, so there's no way you can get out of here or any air leakage in here. Now if you had an aluminum wire running out of one of these walls, like I said before, then there wouldn't be a complete seal. For example, if I break this block right here, see, area too big, unsealed, because it's now counting the infinite space that is out there. So it doesn't count it as sealed, so it needs to be completely closed in order for this to work. And now's a good time, since we have a sealed oxygen room, to move on to this oxygen detector. Now if we go ahead and set this down, this doesn't have any GUI or anything. This will simply make a redstone signal when there's oxygen around. So as you can see, it's lighting up this redstone pathway. Now if I break the seal and all the oxygen floods out, you can see that it all turns off because there's no oxygen in this room anymore. Let's go ahead and turn it back on. So it's just a very simple way of letting you know if there's any oxygen on your space station. So now you could have a nice customizational setup and have all of these lights connected to this, so that when your space station is leaking oxygen or anything, you'll know by lights flashing and all that stuff. So it's very cool how much customization you can have with this space station. So let's turn this on so that we can get some light in here. And now as you can see, these light up even though there's no redstone anywhere. Well, there is actually redstone there because of these hidden redstone wires and repeaters. Now to make the wire, all you need is 4 tin wall blocks and a redstone to get 4 of these. And to make the repeater, you need 2 tin wall blocks and 1 repeater to get 1 redstone repeater that is hidden. Now this block right here coming all the way up there is redstone, the hidden redstone, and it comes all the way over here and connects to these 3 lamps as well. So you don't need any redstone wires running along the ground. It's all can be built in to the walls of your space station. So it's just another awesome way that you can customize your station. Now I'm going to be moving on to airlocks, since we just finished talking about oxygen. Now right before we move on to that, I want to talk about this special type of vacuum glass. Now we have the first vacuum glass, and to make this you just need 4 aluminum ingots and 5 glass blocks. And then to make the different colored version, you just need 5 of those vacuum glasses and 4 tin wall blocks. So the first version looks white like it does over there when you put it around. The second version looks like this with that nice gray outline. Then we move on to normal vacuum glass, not the clear version. And now this stuff you can paint. Now to make this, you're going to need tin ingots instead of aluminum. And then to make the different version, you're just going to place those vacuum glasses in with those 4 tin wall blocks, and you'll get 5. Now this is what it looks like. It's got those glass particles on it. And I'll get on how to paint these a little bit later. And then we finally have this strong vacuum glass for any super vacuums that you might be in. Now to make this, you're going to need 4 compressed aluminum and then 5 glass, and then once again you're just going to need to place those vacuum glass in with 4 tin wall blocks, and then you'll get this very thick, kind of cloudy looking vacuum glass for you to use. And now we're going to move on to these airlock frames. So what you need to do is place these in a portal-like shape. So I'm going to make one of those shapes right now. So there we go. We have this very dark black frame. It looks pretty cool against this darkness of space out there. Now to make this frame work, you're going to need to replace one of these blocks with a controller. And as you can see, it makes an airlock, because there's oxygen in this room, and if you want to completely refill this room with oxygen, we can just use this oxygen sealer again. As you can see, it's checking it, and as it will say in a second, that it is sealed. Now if I walk over this, it will not be sealed anymore, so you don't want to spend too long in there. That's why you will place this in a different room and then have that room connect to your main space station, so it doesn't always break your oxygen seal every time you leave. So this controller down here allows you to just customize a little bit. You can have it open with redstone signal, have it open when a player is within a certain distance, put a player's name that continues off of that, invert it so whatever it is, it will automatically open, or you can have it closed, and then you can put it horizontal if you want to like fly some type of spacecraft in, or just make it to where it's easier for you to fly in. So it's just a little bit more customization. So now with those main things out of the way, I'm going to go over just a couple machines that will enhance your productivity. Now first we have this electric compressor. Now you'll remember this usual compressor that I went over in the last episode. So you're going to take one of those surrounded by 4 compressed steel, a compressed tin, 2 aluminum wires, and advanced wafer. Now if we go ahead and set this down, instead of powering this with coal like before, it will just simply add this energy slot instead of normal coal. And then it will also work around twice as fast as the other one. So it is way more efficient than the previous version. Then next we have this oxygen storage mod, which will take 3 empty heavy oxygen tanks surrounded by 6 compressed steel. And this will hold up to 60,000 seconds of oxygen. So it is very effective for storing oxygen. Then we have this deconstructor. Now to make this, you're going to need 4 compressed steel, a shear, 2 aluminum wires, an anvil, and a furnace. And now this, you'll simply place your rocket in here, have a significant power source, and then it will separate it into all the parts that you spent on that rocket. So if you have a few extra rockets that you don't need, just simply use this machine. Now next we have this chromatic applicator. Now to make this, you're going to need to take every color of the rainbow surrounded by compressed steel, and you'll get this chromatic applicator. Now if we go ahead and set this down, this does not take any power whatsoever, but it allows you to paint glass that is already up. So you don't need to place any type of stack of glass in here, then apply this paint. You just place one of what type of glass in your space station you'd like to paint. So you got this vacuum glass clear, which is over on the left side of the screen. You'll see it change, and then you got this normal vacuum glass, which on the right side of the screen will change. So if I go ahead and take this vacuum glass and place it on the right side, this will allow me to take whatever colors in the center and apply it to any type of glass that's in the space station. So if I take this lime dye and mix the color in to make it more green, then apply the paint, you can see that the glass on the right changed color. Now I can reset this color and apply the paint again so it goes back to white. Now if I take the same type of glass placed on the other side and mix the color in, I can just make it a darker color. So if I apply this, so if I move over here and apply this, you can then see that it goes black. And now if I take this vacuum glass and apply this, you can see on the other side it went black as well. So it's just very handy for dyeing any type of glass that you have in your space station. So it's pretty cool. Now moving on to this electric furnace. To make this, you're going to need to take a normal furnace, 2 compressed aluminum, and 5 compressed steel with a basic wafer. You'll get this electric furnace. Now if we go ahead and open this up and supply it with this battery, Now this will go at the same speed of a normal furnace, but it's simply just electric. So if you want to constantly have a furnace thing going, then you can connect this to a solar panel, and so it's just a different version of a normal furnace. Next we have this magnetic crafting table, and to make this you just need a crafting table and a compressed iron. And it has this nice gray look to it. Now the reason why this is special is usually when you hit E when you're crafting something, you'll drop all the stuff that is in your inventory that you put on the crafting table. But with this, when I place it there and hit E, it will stay there, because if you were to drop something as this, you'll see that it flies away from me because we are in space. So this is very useful for crafting. And now we move on to one of the coolest things you can add to your space station, and that is this display screen. To make this, you're going to need 4 basic wafers, 4 compressed steels, and a glass. This is kind of like a television. If you click on it, you can get a picture of the Earth, you can get the solar system, you can get your orbits, you can get Jupiter, and you can get this link section. And then you can turn it off and go back through it all. But this link section is very interesting when you connect it to this telemetry link. Now to make this, you need 3 compressed copper, 4 compressed tin, one of those frequency modules, and a basic wafer. Now if we go ahead and set this down, as well as I go into game mode 0 or survival, and put this frequency module on me, it then picks up the frequency that I'm producing. So it shows my health, it shows my heart rate, it shows my food and my oxygen and all that stuff. So it is very useful. Now I quickly want to mention these 2 blocks, this energy storage cluster and this electric arc furnace. Now these, for this energy storage cluster, you can take 4 of those energy storage modules, 4 of those compressed steels, and advanced wafer. Now this holds way more energy than the previous one. This holds 2.5 million energy compared to that 500,000 or whatever. But unfortunately both these do not have textures at the moment. Hopefully they'll update that. And then this electric arc furnace is the same as the other arc furnace, except it is more effective because it can hold 2 slots and it goes at a faster rate. So hopefully they'll add some texture to these and just make it a little more usable, but those are those 2 machines. And now since it's dark, I would like to go over some of the lighting mechanics. Now first we have this glowstone torch. Now you just make it like normal torches, except it's glowstone replaced with the coal. Now this has about the same amount of light as a normal torch, except of course it never runs out and it works in space. Then we have this arc lamp. To make this, you're going to need 4 heavy duty plates, 4 glowstone dusts, and a battery. Now this is a extremely bright lamp that will light up a massive area, and it can also scare mobs away when you're down on Earth. So it is just a super bright lamp. Then we have this lighting panel square. Now this is 7 glass panes with a glowstone torch and a compressed steel. And now this just lights up, it's just a square block of a torch basically. It produces the same amount of light. Then we have this lighting panel spotlight. To make this you need 4 glass panes, glowstone torch, and a compressed steel. And then this does a much smaller amount of light, so it adds a little bit darker version. Then we have this lighting panel linear. Now this is 6 glass panes, glowstone torch, and compressed steel. Now this makes this lighting go linear. And now this is time that I'm mentioning about this standard wrench. To make this, you're going to need 2 compressed bronze and a compressed steel. And this will allow you to turn certain blocks such as this. Now if I shift and right click, you can see that I can make this line go from sideways or to up and down, or just make it completely disappear and go to another side. So it is just very useful for more customization. Then we have this lighting panel dark. Now to make this, you can take 2 glass panes, glowstone torch, compressed steel. Now this has these few lines that barely lights up the space at all, so you can use this in more serious rooms. Same with this next one of another lighting panel dark with 2 glass panes, glowstone torch, and compressed steel, and it has these few lines at the top producing the very same, which is a very small amount of light. So once again, I just love the customization that this mod adds with all these different types of lights, and it's just very cool. So I want to move on to these last few things before we go to the moon. The first thing I'd like to talk about are these canned foods. Now to make this canned food of dehydrated apples, you just need to put 2 apples with a tin canister. Same with these carrots, just 2 carrots. For watermelons, 2 melons. For potatoes, 2 potatoes, and for beef, 2 ground beef raw. And to make this, you just put a raw beef and you'll get 2 of these. So this just works normal food, just it's well meant for space. But the cooler thing is this hydraulic platform. Now to make this, you're going to need 4 pistons, 2 compressed steel, 2 glow-stone dusts, and a basic wafer, and you'll get 4 of them. Now if you put 4 of them together, it will make a platform. And I set up this little staircase right here because it works as an elevator. So if I walk on here, you'll notice it's green, meaning that I'm on it. If I press space, it will then make me go up to whatever the platform is, and when I let go, it will settle me down at that platform. Now if I hit shift, I will go down, and I could stop at this platform if I wanted to, whether I'm coming up first or coming down. So you can see it stops there. So it's just a very usable and working elevator, and it's pretty cool. You can use this for other things, but I would assume that an elevator might be its number one purpose, to get up and down once you have a massive space station. But now let's go to the moon. So the first thing that I like to go over, now since we're on the moon, and talked about this before, was this auction bubble distributor. To make this, as it said, you take 4 compressed steel, 2 auction vents, 2 auction fans, and a compressed aluminum. So if we go ahead and set this down, and we put an auction source and a power source, you'll see that this blue bubble starts to go around it. Now this will continue to grow and grow and grow until it gets to a pretty decent size. And now if we walk into this, we have oxygen now. So if I go into survival, I don't have any oxygen equipment on me at all, but I am still breathing. Now if I walk out of this, it'll say warning, oxygen setup is invalid, and I'll start taking damage, but in here, I am okay. So now it's complete, and you can see that it is a pretty decent blue bubble. And now these can interfere with other bubbles, so you can have this long chain of oxygen, but you need to remember that you don't have this infinite oxygen supply, so you are going to have to refill these. So, but it's just a way to get a nice circle of oxygen around, and so you can grow trees or any plant life in here that you want. So it's very useful for farming. Now before I get on to the last thing I'm going to talk about in this mod, I wanted to let you know that that oxygen bubble, when it turns off, runs out of oxygen or power, it will just slowly start shrinking down instead of staying at its complete size. Now the last thing we're going to talk about is this buggy, so you can drive around on the moon. Now we're going to go back to our NASA workbench, this cool looking workbench, and what you're going to need is this NASA workbench schematic, moon buggy schematic. Now you will find this in dungeons that are on the moon. So if you go digging around, go in a cave or somewhere, you'll occasionally stumble across a dungeon. And now those will have big bosses in them that you're going to have to fight, so be prepared when you go into them. But you'll occasionally find some chests and some rewards, and you'll find some schematics. Now if you're just using the base Galacticraft mod, you'll only find this, but in other mods you'll find different schematics for bigger rockets, and I'll get to that when I add in the Galacticraft planets mod in the next part. But for now, if we hit next and we place this in here and we unlock the schematic, if we go back, we now have this moon buggy schematic. So to make this, you need to put in 4 moon buggy wheels along with 11 heavy duty plates and a buggy seat. To make these wheels, you need 4 leather surrounding a compressed steel. To make this seat, you will need 1 compressed iron and 5 compressed steel. When you put that all in there, you'll get this buggy, and you're going to need to make these buggy fueling pads. Now to make these, you're going to need 3 compressed steel and 3 blocks of iron to get 9 of them, just like the rocket launch pad. Let's go ahead and place these down. And then we're going to place this buggy down. Now it's this nice little car that you can drive around on. Now this has a signal communicator, so you are going to be able to track where these are with those screen displays that I talked about on the space station. But let's go ahead and fill this up. So place it the other way. Let's put this in here along with fuel, and now it's loading this up. So if we take a hop in, hit G, you can see that a fuel tank is filling up. So I'm going to go ahead and let this fill up. There we go, we're completely full. So now I can go ahead and drive around. So just like driving a normal car, you're going to press A and D to go around, and you're going to press W to go forward, S to slow down, and then go backwards. And now this, you won't need to press jump or anything, it'll automatically go up, especially since there's a lack of gravity. And now this, as you can see, it's already used 2% of its fuel, so you have a limited amount of fuel. But it's just a nice way to fly around the moon, searching for any dungeons or villages, and it's just a really cool car. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you can use this on Earth as well to drive around, but you're not going to have as much fun because, you know, there is gravity down there, so you're not just going to be able to fly up and go over massive drop-offs like this without taking a bunch of fall damage. So it's really used for the moon, and it's just a nice, cool car. So thanks for watching. If you liked it, leave a like and comment down below any other types of mods you'd like me to review. I'll be releasing part 3 of this, talking about the Planets mod edition and exploring some other planets very soon. But this is pretty much it for the advanced machinery and how you can use these to improve your life on a space station or on the moon. But besides for that, I will see you guys in the next video. High five.